Okay, welcome back to the channel. My name is Michael. We received a couple days ago the news that the Anaheim Ducks were going to match the offer sheet that Philly sent Leo Carlsson. Now, if you haven't been up to date in the National Hockey League on, was it July 2nd? So one day after free agency opened up, the Philadelphia Flyers offer sheeted Leo Carlsson from the Anaheim Ducks on a 5-year, $18 million deal per year for a total of $90 million. This offer sheet would have sent four first round picks to the Anaheim Ducks in exchange for Leo Carlsson. And obviously, Anaheim matched it. Um, this is a really interesting situation because looking from the outside in, you could obviously make an argument that Anaheim shouldn't have matched it. Four first round picks is a lot. And to be honest with you, Philadelphia is a team that I don't really think is a contender. I think they overachieved this year. They made the playoffs with 94 points. I think with a Metro team or with the Metro getting better in general, 94 points won't be the wild card next year. It will probably be higher. And on top of that, I do think Philly might be coming down to earth a little bit next year. I think that they have a decent team. I don't think that they're spectacular, maybe not even playoff team. I think they're kind of playoff bubble team. So we'll see. But even with Carlson, I wouldn't have viewed them as a contender. So I don't think that those first round picks, at least within the first year or two, would have been that low in the draft. They would have been at worst middle, probably around 10 to 15. And if Philly was a good team, 15 to 20. Now, you don't use those picks if you give up Leo Carlson. Obviously, you're going to have your own picks as well as Philly's picks. So in the next four drafts, you will have eight first round picks. Um, there's a lot of potential you can do with those. But Pat Verbeek, the general manager of Anaheim, said, no, we're not going to take the value. We are going to match the offer. And to start off, I think that that is the right move in a sense. Obviously, in terms of value, I think four first round picks for any player is insane. But Leo Carlsson is their star. He is their talent. He is their guy that they invested a second overall pick in 3 years ago for. They view him as a superstar center. And I know that a lot of other people do that too. I personally haven't had the pleasure of watching Leo Carlsson all that much in his career. I've definitely watched him. He's a very good player. This year, only 67 points, 70 games played. He's right at point per game at the age of 21. I think that he's in for a breakout year, though. I think that we're looking at a potential 90-point season next year from him. And that's just, the tip of the iceberg with him, too. I think he's going to be a fantastic player. So I like that Pat Verbeek was able to retain one of his best players. Now, unfortunately, Leo Carlson should not have been offer sheeted in the first place, and I think that that is because of Pat Verbeek's mismanagement so far this offseason. Um, there was rumors coming into the offseason that there were going to be offer sheets. Obviously, we saw New Jersey offer sheet Barrett Hayton, which Utah matched. Um, then Leo Carlson gets offer sheeted. Anaheim is a team that had three restricted free agents: Pavel Mintyukov, Leo Carlson, and Cutter Gauthier. Three important players for the team and around $30 million to get them signed. The fact that Pat Verbeek didn't extend those players prior to the offseason, I think hurt them in the long term because to be honest with you, Leo Carlson is not worth $18 million. He is the highest paid player in the NHL on a year-to-year basis ever in NHL history. But for this upcoming season, he's not worth 18 mil. If you had asked me where I think Leo Carlson comes in, I would say probably around $12 million. I think $12 million is fair for a superstar first line center that you think is going to be this future of this team, the organization, especially in the cap booming era. But since Pat Verbeek didn't extend him early, he had to overpay $6 million more than what he's worth. And that's not to say that Leo Carlson wouldn't get like $13 million, but you lost out on $5 or $6 million to sign one of your best players. You knew that this is a player you might want to go long term with, and you are a loser of the system and you lost financial situation. Now, when it comes to Pavel Mintyukov, there were potential. offers on the table for him for offer sheets. He didn't sign one because Pat Verbeek got smart and was like, okay, we got to sign this guy, or he's going to sign an offer sheet. And they signed him to $7.2 million. And you could say, well, how does Pavel Mintyukov's contract have an effect on Leo Carlsson's contract? It doesn't, but it has an effect on the overall cap. The fact that those two players and those three players, including Cutter Gauthier, were not signed prior to RFA means that the salaries are up. Leo Carlsson's contract is higher. You can even make an argument that Pavel Mintyukov's contract is a little expensive for what he's done so far, but the expectation is that Pavel Mintyukov is going to be a pretty good player. This contract could look really good down the road. But they started with, what was it, $30 million in cap space. They are now down to 9 mil. They'll be able to sign Cutter Gauthier, but they're going to have to trade away one of their players. I mean, prior to the offseason, you could say, all right, they'll get those three players and still have a little bit of cap room. Now they have to trade one of their players. Now, there is room to make those trades. They have Leo Carlsson, who's not going anywhere, Mikael Granlund, Troy Terry. But then you get into the next crop of players. Chris Kreider, who's 35, 6.5 mil. He's a good player. He's a good goal scorer. He's a veteran. I don't think that they would trade him. He also has a 15 no trade list. The next player is a player that honestly I'm not really sure why they gave him this contract when they did, but that's Alex Killorn, who is 36 and is making 6.25 mil. He's someone that since getting to Anaheim has underperformed a little bit. I mean, if we just look at his stats, this year 33 points in 82 games played. Last year 37 and 82. His first year in Anaheim, as what he signed as a 34-year-old, 36 and 63. He's not worth 6.25 mil. I would assume they would want to trade Killorn. I think it's going to be difficult because A, I don't know if anyone would take on that contract. And B, I he has a 15 team no trade list too. He can't be traded to basically half the league. If he puts all the bottom 15 teams or who he visions as the bottom 15 teams in the league on that list, someone's going to have to take that. So, well, they're going to have to trade it, but no one's going to take it. What I think is most realistic is potentially the trade for Frank Vatrano. Frank Vatrano currently makes 4.57 mil for the next 2 years. He's 32 years old. He also has a 7 team no trade list, so there's more of a possibility for you to trade him. The problem is that, he did not have a good year this year. 9 points in 50 games played. That's pretty bad. Now, the years prior, he was better. Last season, he had 21 goals, 45 points in 81 games played. 3 years ago or 3 seasons ago, 37 goals, 60 points in 82 games played. Might I add, he was a all-star a few years ago. Kind of a, Mickey Mouse all-star. No offense to Frank Vatrano. He's a good player, but, when you think of the all-star game, you don't think of Frank Vatrano. But the point is that Frank Vatrano, in terms of contract, would probably be the guy out the door. In terms of talent, he had a really bad year last year. Um, One of those three players will probably get traded, or at least Pat Verbeek is going to look at one of those three players. But the problem here for Anaheim is that Pat Verbeek didn't do his deals early, and it is now going to make the cap situation in Anaheim worse because let's say they do trade Frank Vatrano and they free up $4.5 million on the $9 million they already have, and they give Cutter Gauthier 12, 13 mil, which I mean, we'll see. He had 40 goals this year. He was fantastic. Let's say they give him 12 mil. Well, now you'll have a mil left. The cap is only going to probably go up about 8 mil next year. You still have, you know, Nathan Gauthier next year. In 2 years from now, you have Beckett Seneca. You have Drew Hellison next year, who's not an incredible player, but is still a good player, decent player. But, you know, and you also need to improve this roster, and you are going to get a couple players off the books. Kreider and Killorn are free agents next year. Defensively, you're not losing anything, but Husso and Brossoit will be off the books as well. But this team got worse this offseason. Anaheim legitimately got worse. They lost Truba. They traded away Olin Zellweger. I personally have them as one of my losers of the offseason. I don't think that they overperformed last year, but I think that they got worse this year. I mean, they added AJ Greer in free agency, so I think the forward core is pretty good. The D core is a bit weak with Lacombe, Mintikov, Jensen, Ian Moore, Drew Hellison, Tyson Hins, and Tristan Lanu. Like, that's just a weak D core. After Lacombe, it drops down to Mintikov, and then after Mintikov, you have like Jensen and Hellison. It's a bit of a weak D core, and Lucas Dostal had a bit of a weak season this year in a year that he was expected to take a step. So Pavard hurt himself for the future and hurt himself for the present because his team got worse and he made the cap situation worse by not just getting Carlson signed. So I'm interested to see what Anaheim does because they do need to make a trade to get Gauthier signed. I'm interested to see if this team is a playoff team next year because I'm not 100% confident that they are with the losses that they had. And what is the future outlook? Because next offseason, if they miss the playoffs next year and then next offseason they want to add to the team, but they can't because they have to sign Cutter Gauthier. Or I'm sorry, not Cutter Gauthier, Nathan Gauthier. I think that's how you pronounce it. And Drew Hellison. I mean, the cap's going to go up about another 8 million. They're going to get rid of about 13.7 mil. So they're going to probably have what, like $20 million in cap space. Well, is Nathan Gauthier going to ask for 5-10 mil? Who knows? How good is he going to be? Drew Helson, is he going to ask for like between 5 and 10 mil? Like that doesn't allow you to add a legit player. If you have $5 million next year, $5 million next year is a depth player. It just is what it is. $5 million going into free agency, that's like a fourth liner probably next year, a bottom six player. I mean, like I said, AJ Greer got 4.25 mil this year. He's a bottom sixer. You're not going to find a top four guy for less than 5 mil next year. You're not going to find a middle six winger for 5 mil next year, you know? So you're hurting yourself. So we're going to see what happens with Anaheim. It's going to be interesting. I am happy for Leo Carlsson. I mean, $18 million a year is insane for the NHL. These contracts are booming. Um, I do want to talk about Philly real quick and then talk about what this means for the rest of RFAs. So for Philly, they wanted to take a huge swing, and they did. They did. It unfortunately didn't work out, but they still have $29.5 million. I mean, they took a swing and they want to probably take another one. I mean, I don't know where you go in that direction because I think that the market is so weak right now, and the top guys don't want to go to Philly. Larkin doesn't have Philly on his list. He doesn't have a lot of teams on his list. He has 4 teams on his list. Um, Robertson, I don't think is going to go to Philly. There's been rumors that Robertson might go to Pittsburgh, or Pittsburgh at least has interest in Robertson. So I don't really know what else you can do. This might be a year where, honestly, for Philly, you obviously still have to sign Trevor Zegras, Nikita Grabankin, who's not going to make a lot of money, and Jamie Drysdale, but like a total of that combined can be like 15 mil. So you're still going to have like 10 to 15 mil going into next season in cap space. Like you could just save that for next year and work on extensions for Michkov or figure out if you're going to even keep Michkov long term. Work on contracts for Michkov. Think about your future about Part of Martone because next year is his first year, but he's a restricted free agent in 2 years from now. Stuff like that. So it's going to be interesting for Philly because I'm not 100% sure that they're a playoff team next year with how much they overachieved this year and how well the Metro around them got. But I don't think for Philly they should be a team that's like, oh, we have to spend to the cap because we have to. Because we have the money, we have to spend to the cap. Obviously, if you want to spend to the cap by adding superstars, you can, but I don't think that there's a superstar in the works for Philly, at least this year. Maybe try another year of development in the next off season when you get another 8 million on top of the 10 million that you already have. Maybe go for a big fish next year. So we're gonna see what happens with Philly. You know, they're gonna they don't have anyone big coming off the books next year except for Rasmus Ristolainen and 5 mil. So they're gonna have like 23 mil in cap space next year. And if they do want to sign Mitchkov, they can sign Mitchkov and then do whatever they want with the rest of the money. But the point being is that Philly has cap room, and I don't think that they should force anything. Wait for the right opportunity to get a player because that will just help your team incredibly. I think they should probably look for defense over forwards, but I mean, wait for the opportunity. Wait for it. Wait for the perfect player. Don't just make a move to make a move. Wait for the perfect player with this cap space and go and get him too. Not just wait like Tom Fitzgerald, and see what happens. And we came in second. No, wait for the right opportunity and then get it. Do it. Go for it. So that's what my advice to Philly. Finally, when it comes to the RFAs, this just kind of explodes the RFA market. There's a lot of RFAs that are still on the market right now. A lot of players who have gone to arbitration. If you're Connor Bedard, what does Connor Bedard get now? He obviously is still a restricted free agent. He unfortunately is going to be out for the next 4 months. He's going to miss probably about the first month of the season due to an injury he had this past off season, falling on his shoulder, had to get shoulder surgery. Um, does he get 15 mil plus? Because if they're saying, hey, look, Leo Carlsson just signed 18 mil, I'm worth 20 mil. So it's going to be interesting. I do think that Leo Carlson's extension is the outlier as opposed to the rule, but I do think that it will elevate some to some degree because if Carlson signed for 12, then you could be like, oh, well, Bedard's worth 14, but now Bedard could ask for another mil, maybe another 2 mil, maybe another 3 mil. I mean, we'll see. Um, but I think this also shows that, you know, offer sheeting is back. We've seen, what is that, 5 offer sheets in the last 4 or 5 years. I think we're going to see more offer sheets with the cap going up and teams having more money and more willing to trade away multiple firsts for good players. Um, so I think teams are going to try to extend their RFAs as soon as possible and not have them get to July 1st. So teams can offer sheet them. I think we're going to see a lot more extensions early, which could hurt them because if these players aren't good, that's a cap problem. So it's going to be a lot of interesting to see what happens. Bedard, what does he sign for? Is there going to be any other offer sheets? I think if you're a GM in the NHL, I think you got to throw another one out there. Who even is offer sheet available? Obviously Bedard, but I don't think anyone would go after Bedard. I don't think Bedard would even sign an offer sheet, to be honest with you. So um it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. Um, Off season obviously has slowed down a little bit. I do expect some still moves throughout the rest of the off season, some big moves too. So be aware for that. Whenever those come, I will make a video. But that's all I got for this one. Like, comment, subscribe, share with a friend. Maybe they'll share with another friend. Favorite if that's still a thing. And thanks for watching.